Well, that was a very fast 25 years. That's right, Windows 2000 is now 25 years old at the time of recording, an operating system that gave us real Active Directory, group policy, Exchange mailboxes. On the Workstation side, we got real 3D gaming, MSC Messenger, Space Cadet Pinball, better networking support that you didn't have to restart, many other features that we all still use today, even 25 years later. So we're going to take a look back on an operating system that is very dear to my heart. It's actually one of my favorite Windows releases that I wish I could actually still use today. Simple, easy to use, ran well, and unfortunately was overshadowed by its later release of Windows XP. But we're going to take a look back on this operating system, build a machine, check it out and see what we've got going on. I've got a box copy here, you can see on the back, and the two versions here we've got on the home side ME of course, but Windows 2000 definitely a lot better in terms of a release. The system requirements here were a bit more than the previous releases, especially compared to Windows 98. Therefore, it didn't get as favorable reviews for gamers as the Windows 9X equivalent. We're going to take a look around my very sad boxed copy here and see what we've got inside. We've got, for some reason, an encryption pack for a Windows 2000 Advanced server. I will be honest, I actually don't know what this does. A very basic and small quick start guide, just covering off the basis of the operating system, how to get started. Very boring. I've got a slightly larger getting started guide. This one has a bit more information in it. More detail about the install process and more parts about the operating system. Also inside of the box here I got the CD-ROM, very nice holographic graphics, something I wished still being done today. On the back is my very secure product key, and yeah, I love these discs. Very cool. It's just the holographics, man, something so fancy about them. I've also got a Windows 95 release. It's the oldest version I've got that uses this holographic material. We need a PC to install this bad boy on, so I've elected to use my Pentium 3 rig with a few changes that we're going to be doing to this today. I've built this on the channel before, so I'll link the video in the description. Basically, it's a 2-Allerton 1GHz Pentium 3 machine with 256MB of RAM, NVIDIA GeForce 3 500 Ti. But yeah, I really wanted to try this new motherboard out that I've actually had in my collection now for about a year. I found it online and had to pick it up. It's actually a dual copper mine socket 370 motherboard. Really cool sort of bit of gear. I've been waiting to put this motherboard in just the right case at just the right time, and why not the 25th anniversary of Windows 2000, because it does support multiple CPUs. Here's the model of the motherboard. Sadly, when I got this one of the retaining clips for the CPU had broken off, so I have to try and 3D print that. But before all of that, I wanted to test the machine as it sits currently, but before all of that I had to deal with a failed hard drive, which sounded just delightful. And on top of all of that, one of the belts had disintegrated from the CD-ROM drive. Thankfully a very easy swap. I can get to it here just without having to take the whole thing apart. And look at that, working CD-ROM. With a fresh copy of the operating system installed and all the same drivers, here we go, we can check it out. We've got our 2-Allerton 1GHz CPU, 256MB of RAM, our GeForce 3 500 Ti, a very lovely Death Star 256GB ID hard drive, Auto G1 Sound Blaster for sound, And yeah, we can check it out here. We've got our bus speed of 133 megahertz there, 1 gigahertz, and you can see all the cache that's on this really high performance CPU. Sadly, I've only got the Turner 56K version of the Tualatin. We've got our memory here as well, nothing too fancy, it's just some standard SDR RAM, and our graphics adapter. I should note as well, my video card is running in 4x AGP mode. Here's the sensors that this motherboard provides as well, so yeah, hopefully we get some more out of the other motherboard. Yeah, but before all of that, yeah, I wanted to run some benchmarks on the system and just compare what the difference is between dual CPUs and single. And unfortunately, it's not a apples to apples comparison here. You can see we've got some slightly different chipsets. Yeah, different CPUs, of course, so yeah, it's not really a fair test, but I wanted to see what differences there were regardless. So yeah, there's the motherboard models and what we've got in each one, and the AGP on the dual motherboard started to burn me a little bit. CPUs are both clocked at 1 gigahertz, have the same front side bus speed, same amount of cache, things like that. So there is going to be some slight differences, and we'll get to that later on in the video because I have a feeling that's more down to some of the slight variations. For instance, I could not get the graphics card to run in 4X mode on the Asus board no matter what I tried, and also the memory was a little bit higher on the Asus board. I had 512 megabytes of the same speed RAM. So yeah, regardless of that though, I thought we'll put together some benchmarks, some tests, things like that. One of the key ones I wanted to do, because I know gaming's not going to be too obvious, but I wanted to see if video editing would make a difference. That was one thing I really wanted to test, was workstation type stuff, because back in the day these video editors used a pretty generic MPEG encoder, which was sometimes done on the CPU, sometimes done on the graphics. So yeah, here we can see here this particular program is using all of the CPU to render out this video, which we can watch right now.
I need a new car. I don't have time to look. Just getting out to the shop and compare is such a hassle. I do know I want a sport utility, but there are a ton of them. It'll take time to check them all out. I've heard good things about the Toyota 4Runner. I wonder if they're in the $20,000 to $25,000 range. Monster Truck Madness! Challenge your senses! It should get at least 20 miles per gallon. And after I nail everything down, I'll need detailed price information. Where do you find out about dealer costs?
I needed to develop an architecture and a strategy for how we would use DHCP wins and NT domains in the company. I used TechNet more for the volume of case studies. How many other people are trying to do this? And not exactly what they did, but the fact that they were doing it at all.
Would anyone like to nominate me for an Emmy for that one? Well, we're going to strip this thing down faster than brake fluid on paint and strip out the existing parts of the machine. We're going to swap it over to another fresh install of Windows 2000. So yeah, sit back and relax as we fit the new components into the machine, trying to keep as many of the existing ones, trying to keep it as plain and simple as possible, although this is not a very scientific test. And now looking back on it, I chose the wrong benchmarks to run. They're way too graphics limited. My graphics card was more of the bottleneck than the CPU. Very professional. But regardless, it's still fun to muck around with these things. So yeah, we're going to strip this thing back and get the new parts in. That old thermal paste was really stuck on there. It was not good, so I ended up having to use a plastic spludger here to gently scrape away the old material from the die of the CPU. Got to be very careful on these Coppermine CPUs because the die is exposed. Going with the Arctic Silver 5 just for nostalgic sake. Alright, now that the build has taken place, we're going to do the first BIOS start here. We've got our dual CPUs, 512 megabytes of RAM, lots of RAM, baby. Date and time seems to actually be correct, so it looks like the battery does actually work. I believe I powered this board on to test it. Now I've got no idea, well not really much of an idea on quite a few of these settings, so I'm too lazy to look it up, but if anyone spots anything in here that could help with some performance stuff, do sing out, just because, as I said, I don't really know. But we're going to have a quick poke around the BIOS and then install Windows 2000, which took a really long time because of the 256 gigabyte IDE hard drive, which took forever to format. That's something I don't miss. The CPU temperature here is quite interesting. The difference between the new Cooler Master heatsink, we've got a 4-degree difference, as well as a twice as fast fan speed, which makes for a very loud CPU fan setup. I'll have to do something about that. Maybe I'll 3D print a new catch for the existing 370 cooler, because that one seems to work actually a little bit better. System all booted up here. You can see we have our 1 GHz CPU at 133 MHz. The motherboard is detected. Unfortunately, as you can see there, AGP at 2x, not good, could not get that to work. In 4x mode, the AGP slot is capable of 4x speed. So if anyone's got any ideas about that, let me know. I did try the registry patch that is bundled with the VIA drivers for this mainboard. No luck. So anyway, all the tests that I have been running are 1024 by 768 at 16 colors or 16-bit colors with VSync disabled globally, and in the performance mode is set. 3D Mark here, you can see a small difference in between the two systems. Unreal, there is 2 options we can select here. We can either have high performance mode or high detail. Basically, you know, the graphics quality gets turned up, which you'll see a bit of both here. So yeah, I'm just going to let this play out and you guys can watch it and see the difference. Of course, the dual CPU is on the left and the single one is on the right. Because this benchmark supports, as I said, high and low detail, we have 19.5 FPS on high detail for the one CPU and 17.8 for the dual. Fast is 23 and 21 respectively. So the single CPU on the Tualatin system is slightly faster. I believe this is probably the AGP burning me here, but as I said, could not get it to work, so alas. We'll just have to move on. And that's what I was saying about these benchmarks, is I probably should have picked something that wasn't so graphics intensive. Quake 3 Arena here, another good classic. This one blew through here. Looking at my notes, we have 107 FPS for a single CPU, 91.3 for the dual, completing 11 seconds and 13 seconds respectively. I thought I'd push the boat out and try Doom 3, so we're going to watch this and you guys get to experience the performance of a system that does not meet the minimum system requirements for this game. But here we go, we're going to run it. Alright, well, wrapping up the Doom 3 benchmarks, we have 14 FPS for the single CPU, 14.4 for the dual. So yeah, we got a small bit of frame difference. This game, this game doesn't match the requirements of the system pretty much. So yeah, we'll move on to something more workstation orientated. The footage that you're seeing here is sped up to 400 times, but I really wanted to check out something that would try and use the dual CPU. And a video render test, you can see here it's not fully using the dual system on the left, but regardless, both completed the rendering time. We have 1 minute 42 seconds for the dual system and 1 minute 43 seconds for the single. Well, with that being said, I'm going to wrap this one up here. I just wanted to get that motherboard into a case, try it out. It's been sitting around for way too long, and why not the 25th anniversary of an operating system that got me through high school, my first working career job, and yeah, never had any problems with it. It was a fantastic operating system release, and it's something I actually genuinely miss using, considering the day and age of the Windows OS. Right guys, I'll leave everyone to it. Sing out if you want me to do a Windows Server build with this machine, some sort of fancy sort of domain controller, exchange box, terminal server, anything like that. Got some parts I can try out. But with that being said, I'll leave everyone to it. Have a good day and catch you guys soon in the next one. Bye for now.